Today, we are talking about something that honestly sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's very, very real. We're looking at a simple powder that could be a huge part of the answer to one of our biggest challenges. How are we going to feed everyone on a planet that is quickly running out of water?
So let's just start with a thought experiment. What if we could give every single plant its own personal microscopic water bottle right there at its roots? A little private reservoir it could just sip from whenever it got thirsty, even weeks after the last rain. I mean, what would that change? Turns out, it could change everything.
To really get why that idea is so powerful, we first have to wrap our heads around the incredible scale of the crisis we're up against.
Yeah, the math is pretty sobering. By the middle of the century, we're going to need 60% more food to feed our growing population. But at the exact same time, the fresh water we absolutely depend on for farming is becoming dangerously scarce. We are on a collision course, and something has to give.
But what if there was a way to kind of sidestep that collision? A really elegant solution that doesn't need massive new dams or pipelines, but instead works at the molecular level. Well, say hello to the super sponge.
The official name for this stuff is potassium acrylate. But really, the best way to think of it is just millions of tiny biodegradable sponges that you mix right into the soil. It's a type of material called a superabsorbent polymer, and its whole job in life is to grab water and just hold on for dear life.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wait a second, isn't that the stuff they put in diapers? And you're so close, but the difference is absolutely critical. Diapers use sodium acrylate, which, holds water, but it can also release harmful salt into the ground. Our hero here, potassium acrylate, releases potassium as it breaks down. And that's not just safe, it's actually a vital nutrient for plants. So you get it? It's a water source and a fertilizer, all in one.
Okay, so how does this tiny little sponge actually do its thing down there in the dirt? Well, the process is surprisingly simple, but it is incredibly effective. It's almost like magic.
It all happens in 3 simple steps. First, when it rains or the sprinklers come on, the dry powder soaks up all that water and swells, turning into this stable, waterlogged gel. It's just sitting there in the soil. And then, and this is the brilliant part, the plant's roots use a natural process called osmosis to pull water out of that gel, but only when they need it. The plant is totally in control of its own water supply.
And listen, when I say it absorbs water, I am not kidding around. A single gram of this powder can lock away up to 210 times its own weight in water. To put that in perspective, that's like a tiny speck of dust blowing up into a grape-sized water balloon. It's just incredible. And it doesn't just release all that water at once. No, it can hold on to it and continuously release it to the plants for up to 41 days. That's more than long enough to survive those increasingly common and dangerous dry spells between rains. It's literally a personal canteen for every single plant. Okay, so the science is fascinating, right? But what does this actually mean for farmers in the real world? This is where the story gets really, really good. The numbers are just staggering. In some field trials, using this polymer has allowed farmers to cut back on their irrigation water by up to 92%. Just let that sink in for a second. 92%. In a world that is desperate for water, a number like that is nothing short of revolutionary. But here is the real kicker. You'd think using less water means you get a smaller harvest, right? Wrong. It's the opposite. A 2022 study on tomato farming found this technology actually increased crop yields by 28% while using way less water. More food with less water. That is the holy grail of modern agriculture. And the benefits don't stop there. They create this powerful ripple effect across the entire farm, saving way more than just water. It saves energy and, of course, money.
See, because you're not pumping as much water, your energy use can drop by 70%. Young, fragile fruit trees, they get a massive boost with a 40% higher survival rate. Even the soil itself gets healthier, with 35% better structure and aeration. And if you need proof, just look at Mexico, where it's enabled farming in deserts with less than half the rainfall you'd normally need. It just works.
Okay, so this stuff sounds like a miracle cure, right? But, in science, there's rarely ever a perfect solution that works for every single situation.
So let's be realistic.
How does it actually stack up against some of the other methods that farmers are using right now?
When you put it side by side with other solutions, you really see its unique power. I mean, look at water storage. It holds 210 times its weight. Compost is more like 5 to 10. They're not even in the same league. And unlike a big, expensive drip irrigation system, this requires almost no new infrastructure. It fills this really specific and powerful niche.
But it's not a silver bullet. The upfront cost, around 500 to 700 euros for a hectare, can be a pretty big hurdle, especially for small-scale farmers. Its super sponge power also gets a little weaker in really salty soils or heavy clay, and because it's designed to be biodegradable and safe, it does break down, meaning you have to reapply it every 2 to 3 years. And that's an ongoing cost.
So no, it's not a perfect fix for every farm on Earth. But even with those challenges, the potential here is just immense. In a future where we absolutely must grow more food with less water, this simple biodegradable powder, this super sponge, it isn't just a clever piece of chemistry. It might just be one of our best and most practical hopes for a food-secure world.